it an enzyme production issue? Is it possibly food intolerances, food sensitivities? It really just goes down to what is going on. There's always the quick fixes of like activated charcoal to help with bloating and gas and all that. But honestly, just like your story of taking out dairy, it's not really solving the issue. It is
Yeah.
giving you some immediate relief, but it's not solving what's going on. And so utilizing testing, knowing what's going on, utilizing diet, reducing stress. Maybe sometimes people need like herbal antimicrobials to kill certain bacteria or anti-parasitic regimen. It just kind of depends on your situation. But that's really, I think, where people find the lasting, like, aha, this is it. This is what was bugging me.
Oh my God, it's so interesting. There's so many facets to it, but it all comes down to like our gut. If you just tune in, I'm talking to CEO of Nuvitru Wellness. She is Lahana Vigliano. She has so much information to tell us and to talk about. Will our gut ever be perfect?
I want to say you can absolutely live without any gut symptoms. 100%. Do I think it's going to ebb and flow? Absolutely. I am definitely a fan of even testing things, even if you are not feeling any symptoms, because these things can change. We're human, life happens. I know when I did my stool test last year, I didn't have any symptoms, but I'm just a curious Sally. And I'm like, I just want to know. And I actually had high beta glucuronidase. And I was so thankful that I tested and stayed on top of it. And I was like, what's going on? I was like, yeah, I guess I was a little bit more stressed. Stress down regulates that immune system in your gut, allowing things to be overgrown. I did actually pick up a parasite, which I swear it was the romaine lettuce. Like that's the only thing that changed.
For real? Oh my
I
God.
swear
That's
it was
crazy,
romaine.
right?
And so that was something that was really surprising to me because I wasn't really having that many symptoms.
Yeah.
And I think it's just helpful to know that because these are the things that I'm passionate about of preventing, because not only is beta glucuronidase a reabsorbing hormones, it's also reabsorbing toxins that have already detoxed through the liver and you're trying to get rid of it. It can reabsorb the toxins, which is an issue. And that also creates a not great environment for potential colon cancer in the future, et cetera. So I'm so glad I tested and it's back to normal now. But these are the things I'm like, please test, like get to know your body and don't wait for like something to happen. I absolutely think you can go though without any bloating and gas and diarrhea, constipation. Yeah, I don't think that that's something you'll always live with.
So how can people reach out to you if they're can you reach out to anyone, like someone like me or someone that lives in Florida? Can they do it virtual like this?
Yeah.
Possible?
We have dietitians, and we definitely help people all over the US. Not outside of the country if you are like a Canada or other country listener, but inside the US, yes.
What I take away from all of this is that there's no one way to approach for everybody's different.
Yes, for sure.
Everybody's body's different. Everybody reacts to things differently no matter what. Um,
Yes.
Share with us some foods that are good for our gut.
Yes. My favorite is bone broth by far. It's so easy to digest. It's so full of like amino acids and vitamins and minerals and has an amino acid glycine that really produces anti-inflammatory effects. So I absolutely love bone broth in people who are struggling with gut health. I also will say vegetables, but cooked. So cooked vegetables instead of raw, because raw is naturally a little bit harder to digest. And when you're kind of in the thick of it, you just need to basically pre-digest your foods with cooking. So every vegetable is different. I see people who can do broccoli and some people can't, etc. But at least cooking will help you a lot and reduce the after eating gas and bloat. But something else just before I move on to any other foods is that we have to eat slower.
Oh yeah, that's
I know people don't like, trust me, my husband hears me all the time. I absolutely nag him about this. I do admit that. Because he just basically swallows food whole. And there's so many enzymes in your mouth that is there to help start breaking down food. And then the obvious chewing and breaking down food. It can game change like after eating, bloat and digestion, because you're actually doing what your body is like meant to do before it comes, into your stomach and intestines. So definitely slow down and chew. is amazing for digestion. And then I love fermented foods. I like to start with fermented vegetables first, just because a lot of the other fermented options like yogurt and kefir and there's some other things that are fermented, like sourdough. Those can still be problematic in some people just based on it being like a dairy or a wheat product. So starting with like kimchi or sauerkraut, fermented carrots, pickles. I mean, there's an array of different vegetables that you can choose. I would say Whole Foods probably has the most options if you don't like your typical sauerkraut. But that is a natural source of probiotics, which is great. I love supplements, don't get me wrong, but if we can get it through food, like that is definitely
Yes.
number one. And I would also say, last but not least, like starchy veggies. Again, depends on your issue. If you're dealing with candida or parasites, you might have to wait to introduce these things a little bit longer. But I love starchy foods because things like sweet potatoes and legumes and things like that, because they help feed your gut bacteria. So not only do we have to re-inoculate our gut with like probiotics, we also have to make sure that they can survive. Like, do they have food? Is it a home? Is it a comfy home? And that's where I see a lot of people just take probiotics, but they're not looking at how can I make this environment really beautiful for them. And that's where those starchier veggies and legumes, and if people can tolerate certain grains, that's where that comes in.
Is probiotics, you mentioned probiotics. Now, I've had mixed reviews on probiotics. Are they good for you? Because you don't know really what your body, there's so many probiotics out there that could make your head spin.
Mhm. Yes. Do I think that just a basic probiotic could be helpful? I guess. When we do stool testing, it helps show what probiotic, like Lactobacillus acidophilus, bifidum, that's my short term of it because it's a very long word. So really breaking down in a stool test of like what's low and what don't you need. And that way you can target this to get the strains that you do need. That's definitely our jam. But do I think you can take any probiotic? Yes. Do I think you'll get results from it? Not always. I think it really just, I guess it just depends, but I definitely think that there's merit for them. I know there might be some people that say like they're absolutely not needed, but I would disagree just because there's so many things that naturally fight against us. We don't live in 1930s anymore. Or 1920s, or just being raised on a farm. Like we just live so much different nowadays.
Mhm.
People are taking medications, and every single medication, okay, not every, I can't say that with 100% certainty, but most medications somehow affect gut. Like outside of antibiotics, outside of antacids, Tylenol affects liver, metformin for blood sugar definitely can increase Klebsiella and E. coli bacteria, and that's like a blood sugar medication. So the more medications you're on, that can influence microbiome. So there's all these like hits that we get from just our life that I definitely think probiotic supplementation can be really helpful. But again, the goal is to make and create an environment that you don't forever have to take a probiotic. Because I don't think you forever have to. But I think you just need to look at the full picture and just not take a probiotic and, ignore all the other things.
Right. You could read all about all this stuff. Then you can go to the say Whole Foods. That's where I get my vitamin D. I'm a big vitamin D person. And then I look and I'm like, do I need a digestive enzyme? Do I need this? Will this help that? I mean, what are your thoughts on all that? I mean, a typical person, what would you, without, going into much detail about, you did a stool test, or you did this, or for someone that can't go to a natural path or can't go to a functional medicine doctor, what would you recommend them to like take just to,
I
could you
think
recommend that?
yeah, it really depends on the individual, but I would say just a basic probiotic could help with. Usually there's just a couple strains of lactobacillus, different lactobacillus species, different bifido species. I think that could help if you're trying to keep it pretty general. Digestive enzymes, I would say that is pretty personalized, but I also don't see a lot of negative effects if by chance you didn't take a test or know. I don't see a lot of negative things happening with that. So it's something that you could try.
Is
But
that different from a
again,
probiotic? A digestive
Yes.
enzyme? Okay.
Yeah, they have like different digestive enzymes that help break down your food. A probiotic is just reinoculating the bacteria.
Mhm.
So not everyone needs it though. It is something you can try that's pretty easy. Like there's very, very few like negative things that can happen with an enzyme.
Interesting. There's so many things. I think your work is so fascinating, because I think so many things stem from the gut. With the
Mhm.
right? And like everything's in the gut, has to do with the gut. Like our hormones, our, our stress, everything is just everything goes to the gut.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it creates really a domino effect. So, like, if you can't break down food, then you can't absorb the nutrients, and you can't
Mhm.
absorb the nutrients, then you're nutrient deficient. And every single process in our body runs on vitamins and minerals. So, if we're having issues getting it in, then it's definitely going to domino into all these other issues. So, if you have to perfect something, like we usually love to start with gut health as well, for that reason.
So, what is the cause of these things being out of balance? The estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Is there a certain cause, or is it just different parts, different stages of your life that causes this, or something more?
Um, Outside of the certain life of menopause,
Mm.
that would be something that, yeah, that's just it is what it is. But in regards to other things, no, there's many, many different reasons that your sex hormones can be off. It can be from um, thyroid issues. Thyroid can sometimes stimulate and cause issues with how we ovulate and how we're having our cycles. It can be blood sugar imbalances, whether it's diet and lifestyle influenced. So when people think blood sugar, they think like, just having like a lot of sugar in their diet, but it's also like stress can 100% like throw off blood sugar. And stress as well. Like stress can affect the ovary brain communication. So like that is in tuned in it. There's also like environmental toxins. I know this is kind of woo woo. I feel like for people who aren't in the integrative space, I promise it's not woo woo. There's a lot of evidence behind it where a lot of BPA and phthalates and parabens affect the whole process of your cholesterol turning into testosterone or estrogen. So because we're exposed to so much more than we were 100 years ago, I think we will start seeing the repercussions in this. So different environmental toxins that you're exposed to, the nutrient deficiencies we talked about, and a huge thing too that people don't really focus on in the conventional Western realm is mitochondrial dysfunction. Not mitochondrial disease. I think we definitely look at that, but your mitochondria inside your cell, taking it back to high school biology, this is the little battery in your cell that runs things. It makes and creates energy, ATP, but this is also where hormones are produced. So if we're forgetting to nurture this mitochondria, this house, a lot of the times when it's off, it's going to make your hormones off too. So, I mean, we can get really nitty gritty into like cellular detail, but
Oh
these
boy.
are the things
I
that you
love
need
it
to like
all.
assess, right? It's not just like, oh, you have low estrogen, you're in your reproductive phase, so you shouldn't have low estrogen. Like, let's take estrogen. No, there needs to be such a bigger conversation about it.
Oh my God, you can tell your love of this just in the way you talk about it, and they're passionate about it. And the word, some of these things are, I'm like, what is the wait, back up. What is that? So Nuvitru Wellness, tell us about that. Tell us about your company, that you're the CEO of, that you founded, and a little bit about like how would it be if someone came to see you?
Yeah. Yeah, I love this stuff. I can
I
definitely get
know, I
real
love
excited.
it.
Yeah, I
By the way, I
founded
could talk to you all day long.
I know. I could talk about this all day long. Nuvitru I founded back in 2015, and so it's not just me. I have a bunch of registered dietitians on our team as well, who help people. We see people virtually, and this is like what we do: is we hop on a call. That's usually the first step is going on our website, checking out what we offer, packages, labs, etc.
Mhm.
Kind of get familiar with what we do, and then hopping on a 15-minute call with me, and I'll get to know your story, your history, and we'll kind of come up with a game plan of maybe what labs we need to start with, etc. And then from there, it's so nice because it's virtual. We see you regularly in sessions, as well as in between sessions. You can text us at any time, so you really have like a nutrition bestie in your pocket. So I love that, and I think all of us on our team really love it too, because we create like the best relationships, because we're there for you for your ebbs and flows. Like your journey